Been very excited. I've been very, very excited. Been highly anticipating a bout that's coming up. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Some of you may have not known that this was going to happen, but in case you didn't, Mike Tyson is going to box Jake Paul, and I'm excited more for the spectacle than the actual fight. I don't know what's going to happen in the fight exactly, but it is one of the wildest encounters of two people punching each other that you could have ever imagined. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a star, a bona fide star globally of the 80s, fighting one of the most popular influencers that the modern era has to offer. And it just feels like somehow the 80s are fighting the 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Feels like Sylvester Stallone versus Liam Hemsworth. It's like, you're just kind of like, what? How? How are they even close enough in age to have anything to argue about? This is crazy. If you don't know Mike Tyson, I know that some people are too young to have like really watched him fight. I'm too young to have like remembered those fights live. Some of them I wasn't even around for, but I watched the tape and it's devastating. Mike Tyson is one of the most bona fide terrifying people. You know what I mean? Some of the things that Mike Tyson would just say, I'd be like, oh, to even think it, you must be willing to do it. Do you know, like there was a press conference one time where Mike Tyson was sitting there and he's like, this thing, I don't think these guys understand. I'm not here to just box. I'm not here to fight or anything. I'm trying to take their health. Sir, the question was, what has your preparation been for this match? Mike Tyson he's like an embodiment of like everything like fierce, violent, and dangerous in one person that also very much loves birds. And what's wild about Mike Tyson is that from the time that he was young, right, to present, he had taken a genuine, not only interest, but maybe an obsession with the way that the world works, understanding oneself and understanding the world and how who you are applies to the world, right? So he said some of the most fascinating things around Alexander the Great, around conquerors, around kings, around how to win a mental battle as well as like a physical one, how war works. He has such an understanding of the world. And then he says other things. Other things that are so scary that you're like, sir, just shoot me. Don't want to have to deal with this, you know? And a lot of it bleeds together because it's not my time, right? I'm not like from that era, but you watch these old compilations of press conferences and interviews and post-fight interviews with Mike Tyson. I was scared for the reporter. Because you have a man who's been training to basically kill a man with his fists, even if it took him 12 rounds. and it took half of one. So by the time you interview him, he's still got a lot of energy. There was one time they were trying to interview Mike Tyson after a fight. They're in the ring with him. They're putting the mic in his face and everything. And he's so amped and he's talking. He's like, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm from Sonny Liston's cloth. I'm the most fierce. And he starts describing not just who he is as a boxer, but his training and everything. And then at the end of it, he goes, I don't know, man. What? And I think if I had been the reporter, I'd also be like, nothing. I didn't say anything. Don't worry about me. Mike Tyson press conference was a master class in psychological warfare. He would say things that had you thinking like, oh man, this dude's like out of his mind. Or this dude really wants to kill me and I don't know him. That's gotta be tough as a fighter, to sign up for a fight. And you know we both fight. But one of us loves fighting. And we both like it, that's why we do it, and we're both good at it, that's why we do it. But one of us is so excited to hit, they don't care if they get hit. It's a very different person. Do you know what I mean? Even when you're mad, even when you're angry, and you're like, that's it, let's fight. You're trying to get the aggression out, and you want to hurt the other person. And yeah, maybe you're willing to take a few punches, but you aren't in a fight loving getting hit just so you can give a hit. It takes a different type of person, and Mike is a different type of person. You know? When you look at where Mike Tyson comes from, it's astounding that he made it to where he was. You know, Mike Tyson comes from Brooklyn, was in Bed-Stuy, and then at a young age moves to Bronzeville, and it is devastating because it's not the Brooklyn that you know now. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. There were no cupcake shops. It was Brooklyn in a way that was, let's say the property would be cheap, all right? Like if you were trying to buy, all right? Devastating conditions. And he talks about how there was just, you couldn't even go to the bathroom inside sometimes where they were staying and stuff. And all that stuff can make a hardened person. Because he didn't just have to live in certain conditions. He had conditions waiting for him when he got outside. He talked about it. He had to fight. He had to fight all the time. He had to be ready to be tough all the time. People will test you all the time, right? He talked about his first fight. Because like I said, Mike Tyson loves birds. It's truly one of the sweetest things about him. It's one of the things that like gives you a glimpse into the humanity of a person that's only known as being this fierce beast, right? Loving these birds, being gentle with them, caring for them, spending time with them, you know, really taking care of them. And when he was a kid, there was a kid who took his bird and he was like, give it back, give it back, give it back. And give it back, I think give it back genuinely in the way that a kid is asking you earnestly from the bottom of their heart, no, please, give it back, right? And that kid killed that bird in front of him. And then Mike Tyson, I'm assuming, killed that kid because he at least let him remember what would happen. And Mike would get into trouble, and it's easy to say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, right? All those things can be true. Obviously, you shouldn't be robbing people, you shouldn't be selling stuff, you shouldn't be out here with these people who are on a bad path and everything. But when you have what looks like no other option from those things, how can you expect someone to just know? You drive down the path that's been paved, you know? And so he ends up in like detention centers and stuff like that. And at one point, Mike Tyson meets Customato. Customato sees him, and immediately he knows. He knows this kid is special and he's different. And not only just because he's built different, not only because he's big for his age, there's just something about him. And he gets the opportunity to like box a little bit. He goes to the gym, he's hitting bags and stuff, spars a little bit. And Customato sees in something in him. And after sparring, as the story goes, they ask this kid who's just sparred with some grown men, how old are you? And then Mike goes, I'm 13. And then these grown men look at each other and go, this nigga at least 30. Like, there's no way. You better put a 0 behind that 13. That's, what? 13. And Customato, to my knowledge, actually adopts Mike Tyson. Takes him into his home, right? Not just to train him, but to care for him, to love him. Because all this energy, all this fierce potential can really go somewhere if you nurture it, right? And then under Customato's leadership, Mike Tyson does become as fierce of a person as Customato thinks he can be in the ring. And Cus believed in him before he believed in himself. I think that's why their friendship, that mentorship is like, when you see it, there's something special about it. Because anyone who sees anything in any of us and pulls it out of you, right, just with their belief, that's a very special thing. And the only people that wish Customato hadn't done what he did are probably Mike's opponents. Because Mike would have fights that were so damn fast. You can see it even in the video, even in some of the amateur fights that were actually on video. You can see in the opponent where they were like, does he have a hammer? What is he doing? That really hurt. And then Mike gets older. Mike becomes world champion. Youngest world champion, right? In there with a boxer with real experience, who's also a special fighter, right? But Mike hits him in a way that maybe he's never been hit before. And if you go back and you watch the video of this knockout, I shouldn't laugh, but Mike didn't just knock this dude out. Like, he didn't knock him out cold, right? This dude gets knocked down again, and he's trying to get up, and you can tell that his body is like, dog, we done. Don't. No. You know, like when you're in a bar fighting, your buddies hold you back? That was that guy's whole body. Like, you can even hear the announcer be like, oh, he's fighting to get up, but his body won't let him, because his body is like parts of him that didn't get hit. This dude got hit in his head and the chin, and even his feet and his knees and his hips were like, look, if you ever want to speak to us again, don't stack us up on top of each other right now. You need to sit down. And then Mike Tyson becomes world champion. He becomes everything that Customato thought he could be. He becomes everything that he knew he was, right? It's a beautiful moment. And then it's important when you think of Mike Tyson to understand that Mike Tyson is America. A lot of Mike Tyson's story is how America works, right? There are parts of this country that if you travel to, you'll think you're in another country for how poor they are, how broken, the conditions that people are living in. It looks like the developing world in some parts of America, and we don't like to talk about it. We especially don't like to take care of those people because it means we have to really look at ourselves to do it. But there are people that come out of those conditions that build themselves up into something that no one else could have imagined based on where they started, right? Mike Tyson is just like America. Mike Tyson is fierce, fearsome, incredibly violent. People in other countries look at America the way that we look at Mike Tyson. Genuinely, if you travel, and I mean really travel, I'm not talking about just go to the tourist spots and the places that are popular to go. If you really travel and you know world history and you go to a place and you ask them about America, right? A country that we've attacked before, they look at us like we have a tattoo on our face. Mike Tyson, builds himself up, and he doesn't just get the world championship. He has some very, very impressive fights where you can average his whole fight time out to like maybe a round and a half. He's beating people so fast it's actually upsetting the crowd. I know people who paid a lot of money to go to a Mike Tyson fight and went in the bathroom at the wrong time. Sit there the whole fight card holding it. And then you're like, oh, he's only walking out. I got a second. And from the bathroom, you hear, oh. You're like, oh no. I mean, then Mike goes down a downward spiral. He loses Customato. He loses this person that was a mentor, that was a friend. You know? And he tries to find his way, but he's still very young. People forget how young he was when he was Mike, when he was Iron Mike, and he was fearless and he was undefeated, and starts, getting lost in it. And he'll tell you that. He's talked about that. He got lost, right? Goes to jail at one point. Like, this dude is on a dark path, And even, this is attributed to Mike Tyson. I don't know if he actually said it like this, but he was like, I was a baby. And you gave me millions of dollars to punch people in the face. And you didn't think this was going to go off the rails somehow? Like, you didn't think that this was a bad idea, maybe? No. That's who's fighting. This guy who's relentless, So much fear. Imagine you're in the ring with Mike Tyson and he won't stop staring. Just the face-off, just watching the face-off, you would see it in his eyes. He's like, I would very much like to hurt someone today. And legally, it's you. And he was fast, and his movements were jerky, but they were quick, and they clearly hurt, because some very big men did not get up. He would hit people so hard sometimes that you'd be like, I think that guy's dead. And then he'd twitch, you'd be like, he's all right. That's who's fighting. And then you have Jake Paul. One thing people need to understand about Jake Paul, if you don't, he's very much, we are in Jake Paul's time. Whether we like it when I say that or not, he's having his Mike Tyson moments right now. World famous around the world. People tune in from around the world. They watch his fights. They watch his YouTube videos. This dude is a true bona fide star, right? And we can argue about if he's as popular as Mike was back then and why the internet is different, but he is very popular. And he loved boxing. He feels like boxing saved him. That's something similar that he has with Mike, because this kid, he got a camera from his dad, him and his brother, when they were young, and it was to film themselves while they were doing football so that they could improve, right? Which I don't know how that works. I don't play enough football. Like, if I did that and tried to tape myself playing football to improve, I think I would just be like, this is where I got hit. And this is when I hit the ground. I think that's all I did. I don't know was that right? Is that how you do it? And so him and his brother start making videos, like little YouTube videos, whatever. They're putting them online. They're getting some looks every now and again. But then Vine came out. And if you don't know what Vine is like TikTok granddaddy. And they start making Vines, and they get very popular almost overnight. They are huge on Vine. Everybody thinks they're funny, and they love to follow them. They want to know what they're doing next. They're getting all this money, endorsements, everything. At one point, Jake Paul is on the Disney Channel. I don't really know what he was doing, but it was quick. And then they start posting on YouTube, and they start getting millions of subscribers on YouTube. These kids are bona fide popular, and they understand something that maybe the rest of us just don't, and that's why they are where they are. They understand internet culture. They understand marketing and business. They understand the way that the world is turning, right? And it's the age of the influencer, right? And A lot of people want to be influencers. Some people don't want to be. You can accidentally become famous, and that's a terrifying thing. You become famous in a way that you really didn't mean to, you know? You're just living your life. But somebody puts a cell phone on you, or you don't know you're in someone's shot, and you trip weird, and you go, and now you're, like that's who you are as a guy. And then people see you in the world, and they're like, hey, we love you, dude, we love, that's our favorite. Man, keep killing it, dog, keep killing it. But before you know it, just one thing, just one meme, just one moment catapults you to this level of fame that no person can be prepared for. Whether you're Mike Tyson in the 80s or you're Jake Paul now, people don't understand that like fame that you weren't even trying to get can mess with your mind, right? And so Jake Paul was on a dark path as well. He was probably headed for a bad place, and then he started boxing and he loved it. And boxing to a degree saved him. And so he's out here boxing, you know? And at first he starts fighting like YouTubers, like fellow YouTubers, because that garners attention. Because sometimes you see two people who don't like each other and you're like, man, it would be kind of funny if they fought. And this is the thing about us. We as people love a fight. Whether we like to admit that about ourselves or not, we love a fight. I've been walking down the street and seeing kids on the park sinking threes from far away, Steph Curry level, right? And I'm like impressed, and I maybe watch him do two more, and then I'm like, he's getting it in. He'll be fine. But if I see a fight in the park, I stop. Because I'm wondering, you know? But no, we're in this age where I think people sometimes want to be famous more than they want to do something. You know, and that's where you get some of these things, some of these imitators of Jake Paul, of Logan Paul and stuff like that. There was a kid whose story, like, it blew my mind. Basically, there was this kid doing these pranks, and they were like barely pranks. It was just being obnoxious. It was just being like horrible to people and messing with people to try to get a reaction out of them. Because not only are we the new like influencers, everyone, all of us, all the time, it could happen to any one of us, but because of how people become influencers, because of how people get popular, they are our paparazzi now. You're just living your life, but now you're in someone's video and they're trying to make you act a certain way. That's not what we signed up for, you know? You should at least be rich to have that happen. And so this kid was making this video, and he was messing with this guy in the mall, and he was following him around. And he was just like, not just being annoying. He seemed like to also be intimidating him a little bit. And he was really following, trying to get him to answer some question or something. And finally, this little guy, he's like a very small guy, and he did not look well, right? He finally goes, stop, stop, stop. And then he pulled out a gun and shot him. And I am praying that's not him. This dude pulls out a gun and he shot him. There's this loud bang in the mall and people start screaming and running and everything. But from the vantage point of like the person who, because he posted it himself, the kid, the influencer who was making the prank video, posts the thing and he's coming at him and the guy's like, stop, 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 bang. And then as soon as you hear the bang, this kid, the prankster goes, oh! And to be fair, there's no cool way to get shot. But he goes, oh, and he hits the ground, and that guy walks off, and obviously he gets arrested and everything. They explain the situation. I believe he got released. And then this kid goes to the hospital. He's fine, right? He's fine. He got shot in the side, and he's fine. But when they ask him about it, they ask him how he feels about the fact that this thing happened. Like, is it change how he's going to make content? He got more followers from it happening because it got on the news and people wanted to see the kid that got shot, and they wanted to see the other stuff that he did. So he did get more popular, right? And they wondered how he felt towards the gunman. This guy shot you and you were being annoying, but did you deserve to be shot, right? And then this kid sitting in his hospital bed, his dad, by the way, is furious. His dad is like, there are people saying my son deserved to be shot. My son's just a kid, right? And this kid sitting in his hospital bed, when he's asked these questions, goes, it is what it is, dog. Like, which I can't tell, is that a good attitude about it? But it lets me know it's not just a few people. It's not just a few individuals. We're in an age, and it's an age of if I can be popular, maybe I can be safe, maybe I can be liked, maybe I can be something, whatever it is. But it's apparently worth being shot over for some people. And make no mistake, Jake Paul is America. I don't know how it feels to have me say that, but Jake Paul is America. A lot of what America embodies is what Jake Paul is, right? America is business, usually business first. We can worry about being a country later. It's business, and it's fame, and it's money, and it's influence, right? You go to some of these backdoor meetings that some of these world leaders have when America convinces them to do something. We don't know how they do it. Maybe it's with money. Maybe it's with other things. Maybe they're like, hey, look, we'd hate for something to happen to your whole island. Influence. See what I mean? And so now you have these two boxing, and people don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there are people that want Mike Tyson to hurt Jake Paul very badly. And then there are people who just want to see a fight. They just want to see what it would look like. You know what I mean? They just want to see what it would look like if, like, that guy from The Breakfast Club fought Timothy Chalamet. Like, they just want to see two generations go at it. You know? Because let's be honest, it's an odd fight. You know, Jake Paul has fought former MMA fighters. He's fought former NBA players. He's fought YouTubers. He's fought one established boxer, maybe two pro boxers that I know of, right? Because I don't know his entire record. But he said that the thing that made him do this, the thing that made him push for it and create it, was he did some ayahuasca. And when he did the ayahuasca, he said he saw himself fighting Mike Tyson. And if I'm being honest, taking ayahuasca and seeing yourself fighting Mike Tyson sounds like something Mike Tyson would say doing ayahuasca. Like, I could more clearly see Mike Tyson doing ayahuasca, and he's like, I saw myself fighting Jake Paul. I don't know, man. I had to think to myself, you know, if I did ayahuasca and I saw myself fighting Mike Tyson, I'd probably have to sit back and be like, maybe heroin's the answer. Like, I don't know. This ayahuasca is not it for me. No, thank you. And so, as soon as he had that vision, though, he put it into motion. And that's the marketer, that's the businessman, that's the promoter in Jake Paul. He saw this thing and he had to create it. That's also America, by the way. You go to other countries and you're like, oh, I have this big dream of doing this thing. A lot of countries are set in their ways, right? America is properly crazy. we'll let you do anything, fundamentally. And so now they have a press conference. They're together, and Jake Paul's very good at being the heel, you know what I mean? But it's hard to be the heel when you're fighting Mike Tyson. Like, people might be booing you, but he's saying truly upsetting things. Mike Tyson was in a press conference one time, and he was like, look, all I want is for his kids to be watching us fight and see me beat them so bad that they're like, Daddy, no. Hearing Mike Tyson quotes out loud genuinely makes me want to learn Tai Chi. So in case I ever come across Mike Tyson, I can look like I'm about to fight him while also backing up. Like, and some people think that the fight's just a spectacle. Some people think it's a real fight. There are kids who think Jake Paul's got to beat Mike Tyson, right? Jake Paul's a great boxer. Let's see it happen. I'm so excited to see Jake Paul whoop this guy. There really are both sides to this thing. And it's going to be on Netflix, which who knows if that's a mistake. You know what I mean? Who knows if they fight and then one of them dies and we're just sitting there like, so... are we accomplices, or just sitting there, stoic, don't know what to do next, and Netflix is like, are you still watching? Not now, man. You know? And it's a gamble as well. It's a gamble. Is one of the biggest gambles we've seen, because Mike Tyson is, to some degree, putting his legacy on the line. He's one of the most fierce fighters that's ever lived. People talk about Ali and Tyson. When they talk about boxing, they don't really know anything about it. You know those names. And then Jake Paul's putting something on the line, too. It's like, I had this idea, I had this dream of fighting Mike Tyson, and maybe I'm just out of my mind and I'm going to be hurt very badly. And Netflix is putting something on the line, because it's like, will people watch? Will someone die? It's a genuine gamble. And if America is anything, it's a proper gamble. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we do. I don't know. I admire an aspect of what Jake is doing, because Jake loves boxing. And no one will probably ever give him credit for it, but he is revitalizing a part of boxing. People talk about boxing a little bit more now because of the popularity that he brings in, the new kids that he brings in, and he's putting himself on the line because he loves boxing. And that, to me, is wild. Like, I love hip-hop, but I wouldn't try to battle Kendrick Lamar. Like... You know, I try to be optimistic about things, everything. So I'm not complaining. I didn't know how to take it. I'm still sort of blown away by it. Like, Trump and Mamdani met in the White House. And I don't know if this feels like real life. This is crazy. All right, in case you're not familiar with Zohran Mamdani, he is the mayor-elect of New York City. And he won the Democratic primary, and then he went on to win the mayoral race against not-so-stiff competition. No, it wasn't great. But he won and everything, and the entire time leading up, the whole campaign, he was campaigned against hard by not just his opponents, but by like special interests, by billionaires, and specifically by the president. The president didn't want Mamdani to win at all. The president was over here tweeting hard. Tweeting like you could tell he was pressing the buttons extra hard on...
all caps all the time. Wanted to let you know he meant business. Ain't nobody playing with y'all. And so he was tweeting, and not tweeting, like not tweet because he got his own thing. He got that Truth Social thing, but like nobody, I don't know anybody who downloaded it. So then everything he tweet on there ends up on Twitter. So he basically still tweeting, but it's just like he has a platform now where he's like the only influencer. Like I don't know a single other truther. You know what I mean? Like no one else I know is posting truths but him. And so he's over here, talking about how he's going to mobilize the National Guard if Zoran Mamdani wins. Just like really wild stuff. Really hates the idea of him winning. Zoran calls himself a democratic socialist, and Trump was like, no, he's a communist. He's a communist in disguise. It's like, I don't even know what that means. That's, I don't know. That's, okay, I guess. Man said free pre-K, and Trump was like, that must be communism. You know communists, those people that want everybody to eat, He wants a city-run grocery store or whatever. That sounds like communism. Get these communist apples out of my grocery stores. Just saying stuff that, I don't know, just didn't really make sense. And for his part, Zoran only really brought up Trump when asked. He wasn't just one of these people that was campaigning on like opposing Trump specifically. You know what I mean? Like, and it's wild that those two are supposed to go be in the same place. You know what I mean? That's wild. He invited him to the White House. Zoran better than me. I would have been like, nah, it sounds like a setup. I know a setup when I see one. Nah, I'm good. You're not gonna Fred Hampton me. No way. And look, I get why, like, I really do get why he would go, though. He is the mayor of a city with millions of people who need the resources of the federal government, resources that have been threatened. So I understand going. I'm just saying he's better than me. Much better than me. I've been invited to friends' houses and not gone because I'm like, I think they're mad at me. No, I think it's gonna be awkward. I don't know. Might be a tense conversation. Just stay home. But yeah, crazy. Because you gotta remember, leading up, it's so funny how we treat political figures, and not just political figures, but even like historical figures, where there's these cutoff points. There are these checkpoints where we forget everything that happened up until the next point in their story. So now that Mamdani won, a lot of the stuff people were saying, they're just not saying anymore, and everyone kind of forgot it. But you rewind like 2 months ago, hysteria, like real hysteria around the idea of him winning. People were over here being like, Zoran Mamdani, he invented Islam. How we gonna let somebody like that be mayor? If he wins as mayor, the whole country is gonna be under Sharia law. I don't think you know what a mayor does. You had people. This is worrisome. I saw this and I prayed it was fake, and it turns out it's true. The story was getting so much national attention, and everybody was following the race so closely that Tuesday there were people in other states that went to vote for or against Zoran Mamdani. I can't believe how much of this country is missing a civics class. Like, this is terrifying. The idea is so many people would show up in like Virginia And then vote. I mean, it kind of tricked some people into voting. I'm sure there were some people who weren't even going to go vote, but they were like, I got to stop this. I got to stop this terrorist from getting in. And then goes to the polls, doesn't see Zoran's name, and they're like, well, while I'm here. Oh, true hysteria around the idea. Because you remember, there were people who said if he wins, immediately New York is going to slip into the ocean or something. There are some people that don't even understand that Eric Adams is still the mayor. Yeah, that's why I think politics really sucks for someone who like wants to get in, change things, everything. There were people. So Mamdani wins, and the next day there were people being like, "What he gonna do about the potholes? I already fell in the pothole." He's not the mayor yet. Well, he won, didn't he? That dude's going to the White House to meet with the president. President Trump. I think that we think, because he's been in our faces so long, that we really get, that we really understand Trump. I don't think we do. I think that Trump is an enigma, and I don't mean that in a deep way. I mean that there's two ways to be like an enigma. You could be an enigma by being like a deep philosophical, like Alan Watts type that's just like looking at a star and just like pontificating for the rest of the night on like what it means to already be dead by the time we see you and be so far away, but it feels like you're in like my peripheral at the same time. But, or you could be an enigma by just walking into a room and be like, blah, 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 blah. We don't really know why either person does either thing. We just sort of know that's what's happening. And so my daddy goes over to the White House and they have a meeting, and like there have been a few people that have met with Trump that I genuinely wish I could have been like an invisible man in the room for. There's been some phone calls he's had. I remember first term. It was like first term. He's on the phone with a couple world leaders in one day. Like he's calling Mexico, he's calling Australia, he's calling. And it was the first time that we got a glimpse, because there were leaks of what the conversation was. It was the first time we got a glimpse of what it would be like for him to govern, you know? Because he was on the phone, he was talking about, you know, hey, look, I said, he's talking with Mexico. He's like, I said, I would like get y'all to build the wall and everything. Just listen, just don't say you won't build it. I said you gonna pay for it. Nobody gonna check the receipts, all right? We just gonna build the wall. You just don't say anything, okay? They ask you about it, be like, ooh, I don't know. Just keep saying you don't know. We're gonna build the wall and it'll be fine, but just don't tell him. And sure enough, they leaked that conversation. They leaked the conversation where he's like kind of trying to like make a deal, but isn't being the like hard negotiator it seemed like he was gonna be on the campaign trail, right? And that first term had a lot of leaks. Because then apparently Trump called again. It was like, what the hell, man? Thought you were chill. And they get in the room. Because you also got to remember, Trump been campaigning hard against him, so it's a little embarrassing to have to invite this dude now. Because imagine you said all this stuff and then. Dang, y'all aren't gonna like this at all, but the closest thing The closest thing to what Trump must feel seeing Mamdani in the White House, even though he invited him, after campaigning so hard against him, and then seeing how many people love him and how well he could potentially do. The only thing that's even close to it in high school. In high school, one of our friends got pregnant, right? And she was wondering what she should do, right? And then there was one of our friends that was like, I don't think you're ready to be, a mom. Like I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just saying like you're not even passing algebra. Like I just feel like I don't know, maybe just saying. You were asking our opinion, I'm throwing my opinion out there. Maybe. And then, she had the baby, right? And baby's doing well, she's doing well, and she's still friends with her friend. So now her friend just gotta like hang out with this kid she campaigned against. That's tough. That's tough. And so you would think Mamdani coming to the White House and meeting with Trump, I don't know, they're gonna get in a room and fight or something. I don't know. Because you gotta remember, Trump has been on like high alert. He's been tense for a while. It's been bad. Everybody keep asking about Epstein. I imagine Trump try to go to McDonald's and order, and they're like, but what about Epstein? Do you know what I mean? It's a lot. And so he already on edge. This probably isn't the best time to meet him for the first time. That does just crack me up. Imagine Trump really trying to treat himself too, like taking himself to McDonald's in like his car, like not even being driven. And he's like, yeah, can I get 2 Big Macs and a 6-piece nugget? Get a large Diet Coke, another large Diet Coke, and an apple pie. And they're like, sure, anything else? And he's like, a McFlurry, too. And they're like, all right, your order is $48.25. What about Epstein? Like, what? And I don't know. This seems like he's not having a great year, right? And now you're meeting him as somebody he campaigned against hard. Then they're in a room together. Nobody knows what was like the vibe in the room except the people in it, which I can't imagine there were too many. And then they left the room and you're thinking, wow, this is it. Trump probably gonna mobilize a National Guard and everything. It's bad. And then they get out there and seems super friendly. It was genuinely insane. I didn't know how to take it. I've been trying to get people to stop fighting all year and listen to each other. There's 2 people who could be more diametrically opposed on the political spectrum do it, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know if I like this at all. Deeply upsetting. And then, Trump's sitting there, John standing there. That was a weird dynamic. That was like that part was uncomfortable. I was like, he's got to stand at the desk, like it's show and tell, like. But then, they're talking to the press, and it's like It's like more than cordial. It's like he's like really hyping Mamdani up. He's like, you know, he really beat the odds and everything, and I admire him a lot. And you know, he's over here doing his thing. You know, young man, bright future for the city and everything. And I'm just watching like, what? It would be like this feeling. I'm not even saying this is bad. I don't know if I can trust it yet. You gotta forgive me, you know, I'm black in America. But I'm telling you right now, watching that press conference, it felt like, oh, y'all are pretty white. You'll understand. Okay. This feels like what I imagine y'all would feel like if you had all your friends come to Thanksgiving, and then just because of the seating, just by accident, your most racist uncle was sat next to like your young black friend, right? And so you're expecting, oh no, this is about to be terrible. And then out of nowhere, your most racist uncle just starts talking to your black friend about a Tribe Called Quest. You wouldn't be upset. You'd probably be pretty relieved, but you'd also be like, what? How does he know so much about Tribe Called Quest? No. Whole thing was very weird, and I wasn't the only one that was weirded out. Like, I wasn't the only one that was shocked. You know, the media was also shocked. Shocked and seemingly a little upset. Because he's over here hyping Mamdani up. And I don't know if they got the first question, but I think they did. First question, New York Post was like, First question was trying to ruin the vibe. It's like, Mr. Mamdani, during your campaign, you called the president a despot, a fascist. Do you regret any of those statements? Did meeting him change your mind in any way? Or do you still hold those beliefs about the president who's right next to you? You know, like when somebody really trying to stir something up? You know when somebody's trying to stir something up and they do that thing where they're like, ooh, I wouldn't take that if I was you. Ooh, wow. They said that about my mama. I don't know what I would do if you, ooh, that's bad. Wow. No, you better than me. You better than me, because I'm not scared to slap somebody. You know what I mean? You know, you see those people who really try to stir something up there, ask them, you know, what do you say? And he was like, the president and I have had many disagreements, but I'm glad that we could have a meeting about the things that we agree upon, and it's a future for the city. It's to do well for New Yorkers, and I think that we can work together in cooperation. And then you even see Trump. You even see Trump just like looking at him like Then he finishes answering the question, and then Trump is like, despot, I've been called a lot worse. I don't even know who asked the next question. I saw another clip of somebody just as upset as New York Post was over here. Newsmax or whatever. I don't know who it was, but they were like, yeah, you seem to think that most of the president's tactics were that of a dictator. You actually called him a fascist several times on the campaign trail. Do you still hold those beliefs? And then Trump, out of nowhere, interrupting, out of nowhere, goes, you can just say yes. Like, you can just say yes. It's easier. It's easier if you just say yes. I was like, what is happening? This is crazy. It's like watching Aladdin. And then they went through all that just to like hang out with Jafar. You know what I mean? Crazy. What? And look, maybe it's gonna be fine. I don't know. That was, I guess you can only have so much energy. You know what I mean? You can only fight so many people. And you also gotta remember that like, Zoran has a real gift. He has a real gift. He has real charisma. He has just a real presence about him. You know? Deeply charming. Even if you don't like his politics, it's hard to admit that he really energizes people. And that's a special thing, especially now, to be a Democrat that energizes people. There's not many. There's not many at all. There's a depressing amount. There's actually so few that I'm genuinely worried about even the midterms. I don't know. This might be bad. Because, wow. Sometimes, especially when you see like the top brass, you know what I mean? Like you see like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries on TV and you're like, well, uh-oh. Do you know what I mean? Like Hakeem Jeffries got the vibe of somebody who is like, even when he's like low-key trying to do the right thing, Hakeem Jeffries will step up and get in front of you in a way where you're like, oh, don't. Like, you know, like, it would be like if you got bullied at school and then your dad really wanted to do something about it. But you were like, Dad, you little too. Like, you can't. You know what I mean? Your dad's like, no, let me go talk to him, you know? And dad thinks that just because he a dad, he gonna talk to the bully and the kid's gonna be scared. And it's like, y'all eye level. That's not gonna work. And, you know, what if he starts swinging? You anemic and everything? Like, you can't. And so a part of me does get how this could happen because Zoran's actually a charming person. You know, and he's energized people. And you even saw Trump be like, I think that there are some conservatives that are gonna love him too. I'm like, what world are we living in? What? It just it low-key feel like they got in that room alone and Zoran slipped Trump a 20. Like, it's just... what is happening? What did he say to him? But I get it, because, you know, he's actually, you know, charismatic person, and Trump is surrounded, especially in this second term, more so than the first. The first term, Trump was surrounded by... you know, some sycophants and everything, but mostly people who were very, very deeply qualified and boring. He started out with a bunch of people who really knew how to do the job, and he fired most of them almost immediately because they were like, oh, you can't do that. And he was like, get him out of here. He was firing people hard. That first term, remember, I don't even know how to say his dude's name right. Reince Priebus, what's his name? Reince Priebus. He fired that dude on a runway. Like that dude had to walk back from the tarmac. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I feel like it was raining. Like it was. And then he had to fire that dude that was the White House press secretary, Sean Spicer. The next time we saw Sean Spicer, he was on Dancing with the Stars. And we were like, how? You not even fit. Like, what's it? I don't even know who his partner was, but he was letting her do all the work. He was over here. He'd do that first twirl, and then she'd do 16 spins and come back around to him and everything, and he... That first term, he was surrounded by people, Rex Tillerson. He had all these people around him who, mildly competent but deeply boring, and then they wouldn't do what he would do in their situation. They're like, no, we have to, and they had a little bit of rule of law in there, even though plenty of things were contested as unconstitutional, but there were still people who had a bit of a thicker barrier than I think his agenda and the people around him were expecting, right? And so firing. This time he didn't really have that problem. This time he came in with people fully prepared to do whatever he said, like loyalists, But the problem with sycophants, the problem with loyalists, especially loyalists that are deeply incompetent, is that they do annoy you. They do bum you out. It doesn't even look like he's having that much fun when he gets complimented anymore. That first term when everyone would sit around and compliment him, he really looked like he was getting ice cream. Like he was having a great day. This time he's sitting there and then Pam Bondi's like, thank you for being the smartest, most greatest president of all time. And he's like, hey, yeah. Didn't feel like she mean it. So to have Mamdani, who knows? Maybe Mamdani gave him a compliment that was like, oh wow, you noticed? Or just somebody who can hold a conversation. That might be different, That might be way different. Trump, you gotta keep in mind how much Trump is surrounded by people who are charisma sucks. Even when Trump is trying to be funny, I'm sure they ruin it. Trump might even try to make a joke. And then they don't know because they're trying to be a loyalist so hard, they don't even know he's making a joke. So then they're like, do you want us to do that? Do you want us to... It's not fun at all. It is a funny idea to me though that maybe even for who Trump is, he would rather hang out with Zoran than J.D. Vance. It's the idea. The idea that he also knows the score. The idea that he's around JD and he's like, this sucks. This is it's is he squinting or is he smiling? I cannot tell. Because you got to remember, first term, that dude, who did he have? What did he have? He had Mike Pence. This man was trying to be president, had Mike Pence at every turn, just around the corner, like one of those kids from The Shining, just anything you need me to do, Mr. President? Mike Pence too locked in. He was. Like, even when he would do an interview, you'd be like, oh, this is maybe the most humorless person I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, at least JD is cringe. Like, he's like trying to be funny. You know, sometimes he'll tell a joke and he'll have his own laugh at the end of it. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to trick us into laughing. That's not how jokes work. There was that weird, he tried to tell some weird joke. I think he was talking to the troops or something. And he was like, you know, I asked my staff earlier, I was going over jokes. We were joking. And I asked them if I should do one of the jokes that I just told that we all laughed at. And they were like, sir, please don't do that one. What just happened? What happened? What was that? That's insane. You are now laughing at a thing we didn't hear. We are not in your head. That's what Trump is around. It's just that guy, or you go to the past and it's just someone being like, so you want to, like, pray? Apparently Mike Pence prayed around Trump so much Trump started bringing it up. He was like, you gotta get rid of this guy. Every time we're alone, he tried to pray on me, and his first one was nice. The next 12 are very upsetting. Ooh. You know? Because prayers aren't bad. It's always nice when somebody's like, hey, can I pray for you? I'm always like, yeah. But if they were like, can I pray for you? And I was like, yeah. And then they prayed for me. And I was like, thank you. And then I saw them 5 minutes later and they were like, can I pray for you? I'd be like, what's happening? What do you... Now I feel like you praying at me. Like you, like... Now I feel like you prayed something and it didn't work. And you trying again. No. So then he's in there with Mamdani and they have whatever conversation they have. I'm sure we'll find out little pieces of it later or whatever. Maybe it's out now. I don't know. I watched the press conference and that was about all I could take. Because I'm not saying, here's the thing, I'm not saying that cooperation is bad. I'm not saying that building, building relationships that benefit people is what politics should be. That's what all the leaders should do, is like put any general differences aside and make sure that they're at least like serving the people that they were put in place to serve. I'm not saying any form of real cooperation is bad. I'm just saying, like, if this is a Black Mirror episode, I would like to wake up now.
I was reading the news and I saw this Mark Robinson. If y'all don't know who that is, he's a lieutenant governor of North Carolina, and he's running for governor of North Carolina as a GOP candidate. And a bunch of news came out where basically there are these profiles that they found of him from a long time ago being on porn sites saying the craziest stuff you can imagine, right? And this is my thing. First of all, this is a terrifying and dangerous man, and I know that because he leaves comments on the message boards of porn sites. What? A porn site is simple, okay? You get in and you get out. You don't stay to chat. What's wrong with you? You're not here to make friends. You are out of your mind. Why are you just on here being with, that's weird as hell. No one I've ever met has been like, oh, well, I can't wait to log on and talk. That's a real sick man right there. That's crazy. And just so you know, Mark Robinson has been endorsed by Trump. Trump would stump with him and stuff like that. And he's been at Trump rallies and stuff. And then, Mark Robinson's a very big man. He's huge. He's a large guy. And Trump called Mark Robinson
Martin Luther King on steroids. Because I don't think he understands how steroids work. Like, they don't just make you bigger in general. Like, they don't balloon you. Like, you gotta work out a little bit. You gotta do something. Mark Robinson is over here being like, I think, I don't know what opinions he truly holds. I don't, because, politicians lie and they pretend to be who they think you want them to be. But it seems like he's trying to appeal to the most radical version of a conservative, right? And he has his little taglines, and he gets in with like phrases. I think that's why Trump likens him to Martin Luther King, because he tries to put on like an MLK-esque voice when he speaks and everything, but he says stuff that he sure his base wants to hear. And he said really horrific stuff about gay people, about trans people and everything. And they uncovered all of these things that he had said on the message boards of these porn sites because his username sometimes was his name. Fellas, I understand that sometimes we're in the heat of the moment and you go to one of these illicit sites, and the site asks you questions. Maybe the site, in order to enter, they want an email or something, or as eager as you are, please do not give them your actual information. This goes out to everybody. I don't care what you believe in, who you're voting for. Please do not give a porn site your real name and email address you use for work. I know it's the first email address that comes to mind when you've got other things on the mind, but make up an email address real quick. I know that sometimes that takes a second because then you got to make a fake Google account. You got to go back. You got to accept the email from the porn site and then just look. But make it so they don't know it's you every time. It shouldn't be that hard, but apparently it is, because then CNN and the journalists on CNN, I don't remember if they're actually like CNN affiliates, but basically the journalists that looked into it found that on lots of, porn sites, he was using the same username, the same handles, which turned out to be the same usernames and the same handles he used on like Twitter and like, fellas, even if it means coming up with a fake name right now, just come up with something to say in your mind. The fact that he was using his email all the time, but it makes sense. I guess he would use his email because he was using his name and he was commenting and all that. So he probably wanted to get the feedback from what people were saying to what he was saying. Now that I think about it, maybe it was more intentional than dumb. But he said insane things. This dude, first of all, on a porn site, no one is looking for feedback, really. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's some. Maybe some crowd-funded, crowd-sourced. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure. Look, I haven't been on OnlyFans, but I'm sure with an OnlyFans, there are people that are like, I made this thing. I hope people like it. Let me get some feedback. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. That makes sense, right? But if you're just out in the world watching whatever comes up, and then you're just commenting all the time, you need a friend. This dude said such insane things. Some of them I can't repeat, but a couple of them I will. This dude said, unprovoked, I'm a black Nazi. I don't know where you begin with I'm a black Nazi from a black dude who should have probably left the porn site by now. He said other stuff. He was like, I would rather Hitler in office than the people that are in there now. I'm more confused than angry. I'm not gonna lie. And then he said stuff about how, like, my man, slavery wasn't that bad. I wish they would bring back slavery. I'd buy a couple. Mind you, this is on a porn site. What wires do you have crossed in your head? Does being horny make you angry? What? In what world does that come up? It's very specific. In what world are you on a porn site? I think you're like, what really needs to be fixed? The Senate. Bruh, what? I do my best. I really do. I do my best to try to understand people, and I don't get this one. This is beyond me. Because even outside of what he said on the sites, it's also some of the things that make him unfit for office are just what he says out in the open. The way that he talks about people who are definitely his constituents. There are gay people in North Carolina. There are trans people in North Carolina. So when he speaks, he's speaking about them and sometimes to them. And he says very sick, hateful things, And just the way that he has this weird, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I try to love everybody, but it's very hard to love a black man that hates being a black man. It is jarring. You don't even know where to start. And the thing that I think maybe he thinks is that his proximity to whiteness and what the white people around him like will be his safety. And it's not going to be the case. Fundamentally, it won't. Because when you say things like slavery wasn't that bad, I wish they would bring back slavery, I'd buy a couple. Who do you think? It's hard to get to the bottom of what this person is thinking, because it's so crazy, It's like it's one of those things where you look at the state of politics, and it's one thing to lie, and it's one thing to say what you think people want to hear, but it's another thing to be an absolute lunatic and already in office, because he's already lieutenant governor. So governor is not that far of a stretch. And he got to be lieutenant governor saying mostly what he says now, minus the porn stuff. And it's so bad that Donald Trump himself, the dude who would stump with them, this is Martin Luther King on steroids. He doesn't know what steroids are. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Donald Trump's campaign is even telling him, hey, you may need to drop out. If Donald Trump's campaign Donald J. Trump's campaign is telling you to drop out, you should probably leave Earth. The idea that Donald Trump's campaign is like, this guy, ugh. The fact that Trump distanced himself from Mark Robinson, Trump done distanced himself from Nazis. The fact that he was like, oof, this is pretty weird, right? Like Trump didn't denounce the Proud Boys openly. They asked him about the Proud Men. He was like, boys will be boys, I guess, or whatever. But you, no. And that's exactly what I mean. Your proximity to whiteness won't save you. You're actually saying and doing some of the same things that the people say and do that Trump didn't distance himself from. But he's getting as far away as he can from your black ass. He's getting so far away from you, you would think he was on steroids. I think a lot about how we think about each other and we treat each other, especially now with like an election on us, you know? Everybody's exhausted. Why do we even do it this way? You know, in like France, they're like 3 months out, they're like, who should we pick? Like we're the only ones that make it a season and a half of TV. Like no one else in the world does this. No one else in the world is like, all right, 2024, let's start talking about 2028. Why do we do it this way? And then you watch people, watch how they react to people, you know? Like I have a tougher time than I've ever had with the things that are being said, you know? Everybody expects politicians to lie. Everybody expects politicians to not care about them. I get that. But what's happening right now is like truly insane. You know, J.D. Vance was at a rally and it's weird. Okay, I've just never seen somebody with less charisma. Like, J.D. Vance makes Ron DeSantis look like Ron White. Like, it's... Because when Ron DeSantis was running, I was like, why he smiling like that? He was just, do you remember his smile? He's right. He's like, it's like it hurt him to talk to people, person to person. Then J.D. Vance got in there and nobody was happy. And J.D. Vance said, you know, they asked him about how he felt about the whole rumor about the dogs and cats things affecting the Haitian community, why they've been zeroing in on Haitians specifically in Springfield for some reason. You know, he's from Ohio and everything like that. And he basically said, like, and you can look this up for yourself if you think I'm being unfair, but he basically said that, you know, this is a Democratic talking point and a point by the media and everything, as if he didn't say it. And then he basically says, you know, everyone loves talking about those Haitians in the community like they came here legally and are doing everything legally, but they were brought in and they were legalized through a process by Kamala Harris that is unconstitutional. So as long as they're here, I'm going to call them illegal aliens. He's talking about the people who did the right thing, by the way. You'll still be illegal. You'll never not be illegal, in my view. That's wild. That you can't do that. You just can't, because the law is supposed to be the law. You're supposed to be the party of law and order. You can't just be like, nuh-uh, that's not. It's not how the law is supposed to work, you know? And look, I think that one of the reasons we get pitted against each other really, really hard is because America makes a promise, and it makes a promise to everybody that they will have it better tomorrow. And a better tomorrow isn't coming for everybody because of systems in place to keep tomorrow like today. So when I see Donald Trump at a rally, and he says they're coming from Africa, they're coming from the Middle East, some of them are coming from Asia. These people are coming to our country, they're poisoning the blood of our country, and we have to get them out. I don't just think about people of color. I do think for a second about white people from the past, right? Because white wasn't always this like singular identity. There was a time in America where if you were Irish, you were spit on. Where if you were Italian, you were beat. And everything that Trump says about them is what they said about all those people in the background, right? About their great-grandparents. So they may cheer it on, But recognize if you have Italian descent, if you have Irish descent, if you're Greek, there was a time where you were not welcome here. And they said that your very presence and the presence of your children would destroy the country, would poison the blood. And then we became the most powerful country in the world. So clearly it's a lie. It's so clearly a lie. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this as if I'm like, oh, don't even have a program, open borders, just let everybody come in, spill it. The thing that they are painting, sometimes it's not even what's happening in the area. And look, I'm going to tell you right now that I think that there should be a fair and legal and simple process for becoming a citizen. Do you know what I mean? And I think that having a process is not un-American. Having a process is not cruel, right? But there has to be a process. But then when that process is adhered to, you can't just be like, no, that's unmanageable. That's wild to me. I have friends who, one of my good friends is Italian, first generation Italian, and he's a bit older, and he tells me stories of what it was like for his family, right? And so much of it was based around fear. These Italians are coming over here, and they're gonna ruin everything with their good food. And they were called criminals. There was an assumption that everybody, no matter who you were, in the Italian community was in the mob, and you were dangerous, and people should stay away from you, It's everything. It's every single thing that's happening now. I'm not saying that there's no possibility of having an immigration problem. I'm not saying that it's not something that needs to be addressed. I'm saying the rhetoric that you use when you talk about people is important. No matter what you do when you build policy, Because I would like the people who are hardworking, the people who are honest, the people who genuinely love America to be in America, Because the same things that they do to immigrants now is what they did back in the day, Maybe you were Irish, and maybe an Irish person in your community committed a crime, and now it's a crime on all of you. Not just one of you did it, y'all all did it. Every single one of you, and we're going to make you feel like you did it. We're going to put up signs, right? And if you're Irish, you know what those signs said. You know what I mean? So where did that get us? And where are we now? Because we didn't send those Irish people back. We didn't send those Italian people back. We found a way to make things work, and you build on a process and you improve it. I'm not saying there's not a process that doesn't need to be improved. I really am not. I'm saying that the way that you talk about people is important. Outside of anything else, whether they share some land with you or not. And the same things that are happening now are what happened back then. I'm scared of having a political process that's it's untenable.
I'm trying to listen to more music because I think that obviously it's important to read, it's important to talk to people, but I think music has a special place where you can learn something. Sometimes there's something that you can get from music that you just cannot get anywhere else. It doesn't hit the same through spoken word, doesn't hit the same way through prose, through reading it, because I think whether it's melody or it's rhythm, there's something that you open yourself up to when there's music that you wouldn't if there wasn't. It's a hard thing to explain sometimes, but there are little things that are written that stick with me. But then sometimes there's things that are just sung, and maybe it's just because of the way it's sung or something. I like that lyric. Let me think about that more, and then you chew on an idea, right? Music is incredibly powerful. I think about back in Louisiana, I know somebody who
She divorced her husband with a singing telegram. Now you can already imagine how different it hits to maybe be at a dinner and demand a divorce. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of you. I'm always putting up with the same stuff. I want a divorce. You know what I mean? Your server is like, so no dessert. Or even if you just write someone a letter, they're sitting at home reading this letter in this unsealed envelope. They're just sitting there reading it like, what? But to have a singing telegram show up, knock on your door, be hitting the music, little stereo, standing there. Beat starts, they're just, I am your singing telegram. And then they give you the worst news of your life. Dancing to it too. She doesn't want to see you anymore. You become a bore. She wants a divorce. Putting his hand out for a tip. Music hits different. I think sometimes one of the most beautiful ways to remember somebody that you lost is through music. Sometimes, you'll tell a story or something, and if the story doesn't hold a significance for a person, it just doesn't, they don't capture the thing that you captured when you talked to them or when the story happened. Maybe you had to be there, maybe you had to know the person. But when somebody leaves a song behind, that's like timeless in a way. We lost a very important person. Legendary person. We lost Quincy Jones, right? And if you don't know who Quincy Jones is, just educate yourself. Quincy Jones is not just a legend, an icon of culture, of music, but something deeper, like understood. Quincy understood people, understood music, understood storytelling, right? Quincy was one of the master collaborators. There were people that you love and you love their work and you don't know Quincy's in it. Like that. It's that way with Michael Jackson. Quincy and Michael Jackson had major hits. Michael Jackson owed some of his biggest hits to his collaborations with Quincy Jones because Quincy could help pull out the best parts of the person that he was collaborating with. And there's even stories. There's legendary stories that Quincy Jones has told. More stories than I could ever even attempt to describe. Like, crazy stuff. This man lived one of the most remarkable lives in American history. And there's stories that are so insane that Quincy's like not even in the story, but he's in the story. Like he's not even a part of the story, but the story came together because of Quincy. As an example, I heard this story. It's a little bit less than a rumor, but a part of me wants it to be true because it's fantastic. Quincy had daughters. Quincy's daughters were, one of them was Khadijah, and at one point Khadijah apparently was dating Tupac, right? And this still blows my mind. So Tupac, through potential collaborations that they were supposed to do, knows Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson obviously knows Quincy Jones from the hits that they made together and everything. But there's this one time when Tupac was leaving somewhere with Khadijah, like I don't know if it was like a dance club or something like that, but they were having an argument. And one of those arguments that you see where you're like, I don't know, is this bad? This is like, like as a couple when you see them, and maybe it was that whisper fight, and that thing that couples do. It's like, I'm just. That's a big one at restaurants, Oh yeah, you ever date somebody that could curse you out with those whispers? They hitting all the F's. Nobody hears, but And if you passing by, I don't know, is this a bad fight? Who knows? Or maybe they were having a screaming match. It doesn't seem like it because it seemed like kind of one-sided. Like Tupac was very annoyed with Khadijah trying to get her to come along and everything. And we've all been in a situation, if you've just been out, where you've seen a couple argue and you're like, is this bad? Do you know what I mean? Like you've been in a Walmart parking lot where you were like, is this just how they talk to each other? Or like, should I step in or something? Because this is uncomfortable, And I'm not picking on Walmart. I've been to a Golden Corral and just waiting to be seated and you're like, all right, they about to eat together? That doesn't seem like a happy occasion. And so, Tupac was saying something tantamount to like, come on, girl, hurry up, come on, right? But they're leaving as Michael Jackson is coming in, and Michael Jackson sees this. And so he approaches Tupac because of the closeness that he has with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones' daughters are like Tupac's nieces to a certain degree. It's like that with any close friendship, This is your uncle. Well, we're not related, but that's your uncle, right? And he says, hey, is everything okay? I don't like how you're talking to her. You need to chill out. You need to calm down, right? And then Tupac apparently says to Mike, hey, back up, all right? This is none of your business. Be about your way, all right? And then Michael's like, no, you don't understand. This is pretty much my niece. You're not going to talk to her any type of way, especially in public. You need to calm down, right? And then tells him again, you need to back up. You need to back off, right? And then according to the story, Michael Jackson beat Tupac's ass. I know how it sounds. But this is my thing. When I look at Tupac, I look at Michael Jackson, I can't help but wonder if the two of them, in a way, are like the inverse of each other. Because we've seen from footage of this person that Tupac is, right? This incredibly adept poet, this person who pulls the tenderness out of horrific things and expresses that tenderness back through music or just through written word. That type of poet, that person is in some ways a sensitive person, like a sensitive soul. Maybe not soft, maybe not, but there's someone who clearly has a sensitive side that they can access. And I think that a lot of like thug life, a lot of the street stuff, some of that is to sell records. Some of that he was really living. But you can't help but wonder how much of this persona is a persona to sell, to market, and how much of this is actually him. Because what if, when no one's around, behind closed doors, when you're just chilling, this guy is a sweetheart, sensitive person. It's what's been said about him through people who knew him. And you look at Michael Jackson. We know Michael Jackson was abused horribly. Joe Jackson beat those kids. And you go through your life like that with abuse, it can harden a person. And maybe behind closed doors, when no one was around, maybe Mike was like a little bit more hardened than we'd like to believe. So imagine that. You're fighting Michael Jackson. It's gotta be upsetting. I can't imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I can't imagine him fighting without doing moves for no reason. Imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson and he punch you, but he moving his leg. The leg not involved in the punch. You have the king of pop, right? And you have Tupac. Tupac is on the Everest of hip hop, right? Tupac, for better or for worse, created an entire lane of hip hop that people People went down and either created some of the best artistry that I think personally has been known to man musically, and then some people who leaned into the street side a little too much and it just became something destructive. But Tupac is up there. And Tupac is who you would imagine would be beating on anybody, right? I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. All I will say is that the one fight that I saw Tupac in is the one that we can all see him in. It's the night that he was fighting with those dudes in Vegas. You know? A bunch of guys. Guys on his side, guys on the other side. Everybody getting beat. I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. I'm saying the way that I saw him fighting in that video looked like the way all of us might try to double dutch. Do you know what I mean? Because there was a big cartoonish scuffle, just feet in the air, fists out of the, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, like with those Looney Tunes smoke clouds of fights and everything. And Tupac was outside of it, and you could tell he was trying to find his place. He was like, and now you're fighting Michael Jackson. Someone so horrifically coordinated. He hitting you and then popping and locking. Doing all these extra moves and stuff. Michael Jackson probably the only person in human history that could be beating somebody's ass and sound like he getting beat at the same time. Just, he punching you, kicking you, and then he the one be like, ow! Be mad as hell. You trying to fight Michael Jackson. You trying to swing on him and everything. And every time you think you really got a good one, you planned it out, you know, the fist is gonna go in his face and I'm swinging with all your might. And then he just doing these dumbass leans. It's gotta be terrifying. Trying to fight Michael Jackson. He got enough cardio to dance for 3 concerts. You know, and he thin too, so he hard to hit. He moving off. You swinging at him. He's saying stuff to you. Words that don't make any sense. I got you. What am I supposed to do? Whispering to you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, especially if you have a fondness for a person, there's at least rumor that there are these tracks that got scrapped between Michael Jackson and Tupac. They were supposed to be on some songs together, right? So it's not as if they didn't know each other. And now imagine, you know this person. And you don't want to hurt them. They were talking disrespectfully to someone else that you love. And maybe they pushed you first. And now you're fighting. And then, you know, you hit them. And you hit them hard. You hit them real good. Now Tupac bent over and everything. God. Michael Jackson, I didn't even want to say it, but he's like, are you okay? You know, the way I imagine it, Tupac gathered himself and was like, no, I'm not done. I can't go out like this. And he was written back in, you know, swinging at him and everything. And Michael Jackson went to kicking. And that, even when Michael Jackson was dancing, he wouldn't kick normal. He was never just like doing a kick. It was always like his leg was going to come off. The whole kick. And now you stand there, you've been kicked 17 times, you still standing up, got all these footprints on you, like you got run over at a marathon or something. Your friends roll up to you, and now you gotta be like, It was 6 of them. They came out of nowhere. They all had the same shoe on. Oh, this is brutal. You know what I mean? Imagine you fighting somebody you respect, too. You got to fight one of your heroes. It's unnerving. beating you up, fixing his hat for no reason. Because hearing about this fight, hearing about this rumor reminded me of a different rumor that I heard about Michael Jackson. Something that, I don't know. I mean, it's you can take it or leave it. I don't know. It's something that I believed for a little while because of who was saying it. But basically, Michael Jackson had such a passion for the specific art that he was doing. Not just the music, not just the spectacle, but just the whole thing. So much so that he would let it spill off stage. And all of it became a persona. All of it became a presentation, performance, almost all the time. And one of the ways that it presented itself was not just in how he dressed and how he looked and stuff, but also how he spoke. Because there's an idea that if you can be meek enough, if you could be gentle enough, if you could be soft-spoken enough, that people's perceptions of you will almost pass past you and just see the music. If you're not this big, larger-than-life character, if you're not getting in trouble all the time, maybe if people can just see me as this, like, the same kid that they fell in love with, now just making bigger and better things, maybe they'll love the bigger and better things I have to make, right? And so there's a rumor from a few different people who knew Mike well, who would chill with him, sometimes just out by themselves when there was no risk of being seen by the public. And they said that that voice, the voice that we know as Michael Jackson, the voice that's been, imitated over decades, was not his voice. That's what they said, that if you were hanging out with Michael Jackson, you just chilling with him at his house, he actually had a way more like level register than that, which is something that shocked me, because I was like, wow, imagine putting that much into a performance, that it's like off stage and it's everywhere, and it's everyone that you meet, you're shaking hands with people, you're meeting people, and that's still not quite you. You're still putting it on a little bit, right? But now imagine you're fighting Michael Jackson. And not only is he beating your ass, but every once in a while he's like, come here, bitch. Like, that's gotta be maybe the most shocking part. I don't know what I would do. You're fighting Michael Jackson, and he making 3 different noises at the same time. He got a low one, he got a high one. He's saying weird stuff. Not only do you have to fight Michael Jackson, you gotta fight a possessed version of Michael Jackson, I'm assuming, because you've never heard him talk like this. That's one of the funniest images I have in my head, is Michael Jackson punching you in your forehead and they'd be like, what's up, nigga? Like, no, what's really hood, dog? What's really... Imagine, and you're Tupac, you're getting beat, presumably in front of some people, by Michael Jackson. At a certain point, you gotta be like, guys, somebody must have a gun. Shoot this man. Even if you try to shoot him, Michael Jackson probably like catching the bullets. Well, maybe he knocks you down. You laying on the ground. You ever seen somebody get beat? I know I'm digressing to digress, but like this, you ever see somebody get beat up real bad and all of a sudden it's almost like they have a cold or something because they start coughing? Yeah, it's like they get punched a couple times, they're like, and then Michael Jackson rolls you over with his foot, walks around you all disrespectful, just fixing his belt and stuff. He's standing over you. You don't know what's about to happen next. You don't know if he's gonna curb dance you or you're waiting for him. Is Michael Jackson gonna kill me? And then he's looking down at you. Maybe you even try to get up one more time. Maybe you got a little fight left. I can't go out like this. I have Thug Life tattooed on me. Give it all you got. You swinging at Michael Jackson. You kicking at him and stuff. And you got to worry about extra. You got to worry about like extra things with Mike. You know, you got to worry about his kicks, his punches. You know, you also got to worry about his pelvis. He also moving that all weird and stuff. Imagine somebody punching at you and then just. I don't know what to do with that. It's very upsetting. Michael Jackson punches you down to the ground again. You hit the ground. You're like, this is it. He's going to kill me. And he's standing over you, towering over you. When you're waiting for him to hit you with that death blow, he just goes. I don't know. It probably didn't happen, but it's fun to dream.